The Bul Armory lineup got major upgrades in 2024, and the Ultralight was no exception. So we'll take a look at what it is, how it's changed, how it shoots, and compare it to the Staccato C2. So let's get started, Internet. So the Ultralight is the compact version of the SAS2, which is Bul Armory's version of the modular gripped, double stacked 1911. And basically, it's just like a 2011, except for the grips don't interchange and the magazines are different, but pretty much everything else is very similar. The Ultralight is a 3¼ inch barrel, aluminum framed 9mm that weighs in the low 20 ounces, 22, 23 ounces without an optic. It's got a polymer grip module that bolts onto the aluminum frame the same way the 2011s do, with the grip screws at the front and the top of the trigger guard. It's a single action only pistol with an ambi safety and a spurless hammer at the back. The trigger is exceptional, and you can see it there. And the reset, super short. It is an amazing trigger, something worthy of being a single action only gun. In its base configuration, it comes with an adjustable rear sight with a fiber optic front, but you can swap the rear sight with the included plate that adapts for the RMS footprint of optics. You can see that's an EPS carry that's on there right now. It comes with three 16-round magazines that are flush fitting with the grip. It comes with a magwell, and the grip module that it comes with is truly excellent. And you really need an excellent grip on a short barreled gun like this, because these things can be a little bit flippy, and the grip goes a long way towards taming recoil. We'll get there in a bit. And that's a clean segue to talk about what's changed from the old one. This is the old model versus the new model, and the most obvious change is going to be the slide cuts. It's not that the serrations and such were, not functioning on these. These are actually excellent. But in the 2024 upgrade, Bul Armory changed all of their guns to have these style of serrations. They're both super functional, very good serrations. But what you can't see that's different is the optic system got a big upgrade. There is a better male-female relationship with this optic plate and the slide. The old version had just one tiny little post, and it's nowhere near as robust as what they've got on the new one. Next most obvious feature that changed is the grip, and you can kind of see the sort of like diamonds that they have here. This was kind of a slick grip on the old one versus this more aggressive grip on the new ones that are more like the other Bul Armory guns. The geometry is exactly the same, but the grip texture is enhanced, and it runs all the way up to the ambi safeties, which is super nice. And possibly the biggest change from one to the next is going to be the hardware is now black on black. You look at the grip screw, and the beaver tail safety is black on the new gun, whereas they were a silver color on the old gun. So if you're a ninja, you definitely get +1 to stealth. But at the bottom of the grip, you notice that there is an optional magwell that is included in the gun. So you can run it with just a bare grip like this one, or the optional, compact magwell. I really like compact magwells on plastic gripped guns because it helps preserve the bottom of the magwell so they don't get chewed up if you train with reloads. And the barrel machining change. This is the old barrel. You can see it is a fluted barrel design. It looks really cool at the muzzle of the gun, whereas this is a more traditional kind of weight relieved bull barrel design that they have that just kind of flares up at the end of the slide for lockup. And the recoil spring change. The old one has a dual coil non-captured recoil spring system, whereas there's just a single flat recoil spring that is captured on the new version of the gun. And shooting the guns, I do think that this new barrel design and recoil system does shoot just a little bit nicer. While the price is more, it definitely is trying to make up the gap with value, with the magwell, the extra magwell pin, the extra magazine, the more aggressive slide, the black finish on the small parts. There is more going on with the new version of pistol than the old one. In the world of single action only carry pistols, this is starting to be kind of the upper mid-range for what these kinds of things are running, but it's still about 40 to 50% less than what the Staccato C2 would end up running. Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm David, and I like to say hello to the dads and give you the crisp high five. And also, here's a joke. It's basketball season. Basketball is back. This one's a little bit racy. Maybe it's not for the kids, but you can probably hurt some feelings. What's the only kind of bee that can't fly? Kobe. I know, it's pretty rough. Probably too soon. But still pretty funny. And as always, a quick disclaimer, this gun was sent in by Bul Armory for video. No money changed hands or anything like that. If there was issues, and there was only one to speak of, I'm gonna let you guys know and see, but I'm happy to report it was super minimal. It was ammo related. So obviously the mission of this gun is everyday carry or EDC, and probably the best way that I'm aware of to upgrade your EDC game is to upgrade to a skinny wallet from the Ridge Wallets and a key case. That's right, this video is sponsored by the Ridge Wallets, and these are the Ridge Wallet and key case. And guys, these things are an absolute game changer. If you are sitting on your wallet every single day, you're developing back pain and you may not be fully aware of it. When you move it to your front pocket, your life will legitimately be better. I know that mine was. And I know what you're thinking. Those aren't even the ones that you use. I know these are the really fancy ones that they tell me to photograph with. The ones that I actually use are here. These are the ones that I've been using for over a year now, and I absolutely love them. You can see all the lint that is on the Ridge wallet. Look at all that pocket lint. Using a minimalist wallet has been an improvement to my life. There's no more keys jangling or poking you through your pocket when you're trying to, bend over and grab things. And it just so happens that it's never been better to get a Ridge wallet because there is a sale going on right now. And if you use my link, ridge.com/humble, you can save up to 47% at the Ridge. The holidays are coming up and dudes are notoriously tough to shop for, so maybe drop some hints to your loved ones and maybe you too can join the skinny wallet and key case gang. But you better act quick because these are not on sale forever. If you want to capture that 47% off discount, be sure and use the link in the description and check them out. Thanks to the Ridge for sponsoring the video. So let's talk about shooting this guy. Now previously, the old version of the gun, I got a couple different holsters for it. I couldn't fall in love with it just because I couldn't get all of the performance out of it that I wanted, and that was largely due to how the grip was set up, because this little tiny slide coming back, it is a skinny gun, roughly a Glock 19 sort of size. The updated grip does allow me to plant on the gun and absolutely manage recoil, and when you look at the slow motion video kind of side by side, you can see that the old version of the gun, my left hand is not soaking up near as much of the recoil as it is with the new version of the grip. And you guys hear me, if you watch these videos, consider subscribing if you've seen a couple of these. But you can see that there's less muzzle oscillation. The gun just comes back to center better. Shooting the gun at distance, I tried it at 25 yards offhand, and this is kind of what that looked like. That's not a bad group for range ammo. Zero appears to be slightly to the left, but still pretty good. And one thing that's nice about this new gun is with this kind of new grip and barrel and recoil spring setup, there wasn't a big change in the recoil impulse. This is Winchester Silvertip 147 grain. This is Nosler 124 grain asp. This is Hornady Black 115 grain. And 365. And the recoil for all those different loads was pretty similar. You can see the results of those groups here. All of that to say is I was getting a lot of the precision that you would want from a gun with a very refined trigger and a very nice grip. Now, one thing I personally like about the magwell, while it does add a little bit of bulk, it kind of forces my hand up under the trigger guard, and the double undercut does allow you to get really high under the gun and really plant the gun in your hand. So it's, I won't say it's easy to stabilize because it's still a lightweight gun, but it does kind of lock in nicely in your hand with the good ambi safety. Just always stay on the ambi safety paddle. Don't put your thumb underneath the safety. You will eventually get malfunctions as you bump it up in recoil. Gun handling with this gun, the new slide serrations are very usable, very easy at the front or the back, depending on how you like to manipulate the gun. And another thing that I really like about the Bul Armory guns is if you look at the trigger that you see kind of there, the trigger has a modular face, so you can actually swap it out if you want to change trigger profiles. It's just a part that cost about 15 Legos, and it has serrations on the front of the trigger face, so you get great feedback from the gun as you're manipulating the trigger. But if you prefer a flat profile or a long or short version that comes with the medium installed on it, it's a very simple swap to get the trigger where you want it. The fit and finish of the gun is very, very good. The slide is a PVD coating, and the PVD coating is not as good as the DLC coating, but it's still a pretty good weapons finish. The problem, and you may not even be able to see this, this is the old version of the gun, is the slide finish just marks up a lot, so it will show contact with any other metal items if you bump it into like magazines or your gun safe putting it up or something like that. The metal will make deposits on the finish that are visible. It's not a huge deal as these are tools, but some people want to know about that. The holster compatibility is the same as the old profile despite the changes to the grip and slide. Still fits in the old holsters no problem. So comparing it really quickly to the Staccato C2, and if you've watched my channel before, you'll know that while I like Staccato as a brand, I love my Staccato P and I love my Staccato XC, I hate the Staccato C2. Just putting it on the table, try and keep it as objective as possible for you guys, but you're like, he sounds like he doesn't like it. I've said it many times. I'm not a huge fan of this particular gun. So you can see from a size comparison, the Bul Armory is obviously a little bit shorter in the muzzle. The grip texture on the Staccato is, I would say, kind of a lower mid aggressive grip, whereas I would put this as kind of like an upper mid aggressive grip. I spent some time with it in a holster carrying it, and I can say that the grip texture, while when you squeeze it, it definitely bites you back like you would want for stability. It doesn't really tear up your smooth, supple daddy tummy. The good news is the Staccato grip won't either, but it also doesn't really bite you back when you want it to if your hands are kind of sweaty or anything like that. Now, keeping in mind that the base price for the gun, let's pretend this isn't the threaded barrel version of the pistol, the base price for this gun is about 2,400 Legos, and you still have to buy like the $130 or $40 optic plate. It doesn't come with one to get this gun ready to go with an optic. The Bul does come with the optic plate, and that is all to the good. The fit and finish, if you look at the Staccato, it is very similar. There's just a small amount of wobble of the slide-on frame, and similarly, the Bul, the fitment on the guns is largely the same. Where the Staccato does command a premium justifiably is this is a DLC finish, which is a superior finish. The DLC is on all of the small parts, and the small parts are all tool steel. And while there is metal injection molded on the Bul gun, you can't really tell the difference if you just got it in hand and messing with it unless you pull it apart and look at them. The Bul Armory is definitely in the same league of the Staccato as far as craftsmanship is concerned. And as far as the triggers are concerned, I will give the nod to the Bul trigger. They are roughly in the same ballpark from a pull weight perspective, but the trigger shoe is aluminum and it just has a nicer feel on the trigger. It's a shades of gray comparison, but I definitely give the nod to the Bul trigger. As far as negatives are concerned with the Ultralight, there are perhaps a couple. The PVD finish that I mentioned isn't my favorite, but it is an acceptable finish, and honestly, I've got a couple guns with this finish and it holds up just fine. I just really like DLC coatings. And probably a bigger complaint would be that, you know, this is a carry gun. People generally like to have co-witness rear sights, and the Bul Armory plate does make you lose your rear sight. You know, the Staccato plate definitely keeps its rear sight, so that is a win for that. But, you know, if you get an optic like this Holosun EPS carry does have that rear sight, so it does give you something to aim with if you needed it and the dot was down. Other than that, I can say that I haven't run into any issues with this. I will say that the Max Tech ammo that I was shooting with a lot in this video, it didn't really work well with 1911 style guns, and I did have one round that had a hard time going into the chamber. I thought the magazine was empty. It didn't feed the last round from a magazine, and that's probably something to do with the projectile shape and the length at which it's loaded. It wasn't just this gun that kind of had problems with this. This gun actually ran it better than the other 2011 style guns I had on the range today with it, but it did choke on one of those rounds. None of the hollow points that I shot had any issues, and the other ammos that I shot with it didn't have issues either. It's just that Max Tech stuff didn't play nicely with the 2011 style guns. This one included a little bit. And last but not least is the availability. These things are difficult to get a hold of. Bul Armory is a very in-demand brand. They distribute directly through their website, and they're not always on the shelf. So if you don't see them on their website, then you can't buy one. And that's kind of a problem, is because people want to, you know, buy a pistol and you can't. Like, even if you got the money burning a hole in your pocket, sometimes it's tough to get a hold of them. These are awesome guns at a great price, and they're difficult to get. And that's kind of where we finish with this gun, is that, you know, previously the old version of the gun with the kind of slick grip, I didn't like it nearly as much as I like this version of the gun with the enhanced grip. This one allows me to do the go fast stuff. It allows me to get the precision from the gun. The gun is much more planted in my hand when I go to shoot it. It's definitely a step forward from the old gun. and I definitely prefer it over the Staccato C2 that I have. So hats off to Bul Armory for continuing to move the ball down the field. They did, update the gun, and it is a better gun, like full stop. It's better than the old one. If I've left anything out that you want to know about this gun, hit me up in the comments and let me know, and consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. I did a review on another single action only carry gun that's, roughly this size, the Kimber CDS9. And if you haven't seen that one, check that one out. That's a pretty cool gun too.